water supply program. Is any of you, in that position over here? That okay, I can see Rinalini here, replying. Okay, very nice to know that. Are there even other people who are there? Amit Ranjan, very nice to see that. That is already you're in the position where you're, thinking about the program itself, as a whole, not just one component of it, but also. Now the next question to you: how many of you really wish that? Yes, Srinivas, how many of you really wish that you want to reach that level? The sense that you want to reach, you're not yet at that point, but you really want to reach the level of being in a leadership on, say, drinking water supply programs or even water quality management programs. How many of you are not yet there, but you want to really get to that point, that in the future you feel that even if it is few villages, or if it is like some NGO project or some project within the government, you want to be in a positions where you're planning for a water quality management program. How many of you really want to be in that positions? And you can reply to that before I move on into the session as a whole. I can see here that around 60 of you have joined, and I think that's a good enough number for me to move ahead. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. We'll be starting this session on planning water quality management program. And in fact, maybe some of you have already seen this report. It came some years back on a framework for rural drinking water quality management. So if you don't have access to this report, we can actually share the link to this report. You can just write framework for rural drinking water quality management, INREM. If you just type on Google, you can access this report. This was a few years back. This particular session is drawn from that framework, and there are many studies of actual water quality management programs which got done, which were put together into this framework. And this is what we have utilized for this particular session. And we also use some ground-based case challenges. You might know that there is a guided mentoring series which happens every Thursday. Today we'll talk about it, where you all get an opportunity to learn more about real examples of water quality from the field. What happens when a water filter is installed in a house? What happens after a water supply program is done with water testing? What really happens in the long run? How to sustain programs? So these are the challenges that guided mentoring series brings, and we'll also be referring to a few of them today. You know the learning format and you know how it goes, so I will not go into this. By now, I think you are in the position in which you can tell me more about it, right? Isn't it? So we'll just go directly into it. So for some of you who have already been into different water quality management programs, do you want to share with your colleagues here? Do you want to share with me here? I mean, type in the chat box about what are some of the different phases. What happens initially, what happens in the middle, what happens at the end of different water quality management programs. Does anybody here want to share in the chat box with others about what are the different phases or stages of water quality management programs that you have seen in your own work, that you have handled, your programs that you have handled, any particular phases that you have seen in your program? Anybody wants to share? I'll just wait for you.
तो जो एक्नॉलेजमेंट है, यानी जो अभिस्वीकृति है आज का सत्र का, उसमें अर्घ्यम जो संस्था है.
Anybody here wants to just take a guess, just take a shot at what could be these different stages? Water quality testing, definitely, Srinivas. Definitely, water quality testing is a crucial and very important phase, right, of water quality of a water quality management program. And often, sometimes many programs are only about water quality testing, right? But are there things that we do before that? Is it the first thing that we do, or are there things that we need to do before water quality testing? Sample collection for water quality testing, yes, Susan. Are there water quality data? Exactly. All of your responses are quite focused. I mean, think about it yourself. It's quite focused on testing and data. Are there other things which also happen in water quality management programs apart from testing, apart from data issues, or apart from sampling, are there also other things that you often work on in these programs? Thank you, Rashika, here for the link to this training awareness. Exactly right. You need to prepare people, so that they actually are able to operate. Even testing kits, they are able to actually operate the different infrastructure assets, that are provided to people. Yes. So there is a whole preparatory phase, for water quality management programs. What you find here, what we are showing you here is a snapshot of the report which Rashika has shared here. All of you can go into it. We'll also share it in the WhatsApp group. So there is always a preparatory phase, right, which we need for a water quality management programs. And even before the preparatory phase, a very initial assessment phase. Often programs are so rushed that many of us, we don't get the time to really go into a very early assessment phase or a preparatory phase. And then finally, a lot of us are very much involved into planning and implementation, right? Ultimately, if it is about a water treatment plant, or if it is about some water sources or water harvesting, we really jump to that implementation. And then there is a last phase and very important O&M phase. We'll talk about all of that, today. So we'll go through all of these different phases today. And especially, I would like personally to put lot more emphasis or a very, very initial phase, a very, very initial phase, which often gets missed. And especially after session number 5 on behaviors and communication, um, we let us try to put some effort on an idea building stage. That is, what is the problem? What is the water quality problem? Is there a real problem? What are people facing? And how do we really look at it? So we'll go through the very initial idea building phase. Right? So while we look at these slides, just an explanation about how it is built. At each slide on the bottom, you see a timeline. Um, so do you want to take a guess when you look at the timeline about this particular initial phase on basic initial assessments? How long is this period? How long is this period of initial assessments in water quality? That is conversations with people, just talking with people. Can you look at this timeline chart here at the bottom and try to take a guess of how long this very initial rapid assessments, how long could it be? Are you able to get a sense of it from that yellowish mustard color, small box within that 2-year timeline? Are you able to estimate or guess how long is this first stage of for assessments, initial assessments in the entire program of water quality management? Anybody here wants to? Is it 6 months long? Is it 3 months long? Or is it just few weeks long? Is it something like 6 months long, a long period, or is it something like a month or 2 month period, or is it just a few days to few weeks sort of rapid assessment period? What do you think it is? If you think that it is 6 months long, then you type A. If you think that it is 3 months long, type B. And if you think that it is a rapid phase of few weeks, then you type C. Okay, Susan types A, that is 6 months long. So I am referring to the small mustard yellow color box in that timeline at the bottom of this slide. I hope everybody can see it, and I want your attention on that. Okay? How long is that? Is it 6 months long A? Is it 3 months long B? Or is it a few weeks long, a rapid assessment phase of a few weeks long, that is C? Okay, I see a lot of A here. I see a lot of A. I want a lot more of you to respond because there are 70 people here. I'll wait for you. I'll wait for you to understand my question and then respond. Is it that the initial phase, that is the very initial phase of assessment, how long is it generally, if we even get time? Okay, I see one C, which is the right answer. So I'll move ahead from here. I was waiting for one right answer. So if you look at small yellow box here, often there is almost no time, for preparatory conversations, with people. Many projects are quite rushed with lot of timelines, and I'm sure that some of you are working in tight timeline projects such as Jal Jeevan Mission, which are already crunched with the pandemic waves. There is no time at all, right? You're already a year or two late. So then you actually jump into different activities within the program. Okay. So basically, initial conversations, and we often emphasize that in order that session number 5, behavioral communication, in order that you really pay attention to behaviors and communication part, initial conversations on water quality are very important. And these initial conversations are important so that you can actually build a lot of evidence from field on what is the problem, which will be helpful for you later. So tomorrow, many of you will be building IEC material. Can anybody type here what is the full form of IEC, right? IEC material. And often what happens is that if your area has a fluoride problem, right? Someone will send you a material which is from some other place, some other state, and often, we just use it in the local place. But imagine that if you have a library of photographs, of library of evidence, and how people see it from very local place where you are, will it be more effective than an IC material which you bring from outside? Do you feel that a local place information, education, communication, exactly, Kaleshwara Rao Adanki, exactly, very nice, Rakhagiri. IEC stands for this, right? Often many of these IEC posters and messages, they're all from other places, right? Imagine that you have a local image library, a local library, not just images, but also different stories of how people see this water quality problem, let us say fluoride or fluorosis, how people are related to it. Will your IEC posters become more effective? Do you feel that you will be able to communicate to people better? Do you feel that you're triggering of people? Now you understand what is triggering, right? From session number 5. Do you feel that your triggering of people will be much more effective, right? Exactly. Right? So basically, if you make this initial investment, if you make this, give this initial time with people, then there is higher chances, that your later on communication will be very effective. But unfortunately, we understand that projects are crunched, and often what happens is that, I mean, it's a large program such as Jal Jeevan Mission, there are like huge targets, right? And let us say BIS parameters, mapping of fluoride, mapping of arsenic, mapping of nitrate. When you come to the ground, everything is decided. No? But how people see it, how people look at it is often not, is often get missed out. And that is something which you would really like to bring to your attention, over here. And especially, how people see it is what we say, exploring the why, in the sense that many often, we spoke in the behavior session that perception of people, we might feel that BIS parameter of TDS equals to 500 TDS, between 500 or even 2000. That is what is important. But if you come to my house, what is important to me is my tap gets spoiled. My tap, just my simple tap, it gets clogged with high salinity in my water. I don't know what is the TDS, but for me, that is what is the most important thing. And it is so irritating, right? It is not, it doesn't affect my health. That is not such a big problem, but it is just what we can call the daily grind. You know, it is just the daily grind. How many times can I replace the tap? There is no, I mean, this is not there in any BIS parameter or anything. But for me, maybe it matters. I've also seen this being seen across the spectrum of rich to poor people, right? Right. It is not just as if this concerns problems such as of daily problems concerns only people who are lower down in the economic ladder or higher. It concerns people in a very different ways. Economics of water quality is one area which should be paid much big attention, not just health, because often we are often focused on the health aspect. But what about the economics? What about the daily effort that people are putting because of water quality? These are the questions that you need to explore in your visits with people, the field visits that you do, rapid assessment that you do, rapid surveys that you do. Now tell me, are there any rapid surveys that you can do in this initial stage? Do you remember from water safety planning session or any other session about any rapid surveys that you can do? What are the rapid assessments can you do? Imagine that I tell you that, some villages, there is a lot of report of chronic diarrhea or cholera. And then, you are sent to that village. You're told that you just have 3 hours to visit in that village, just 3 hours. Is there any assessment that you can do in 3 hours in that village? Any assessment that you learned in this course, any assessment that you already know? Yes, we refer to it in water safety planning session. But anything else that you know about which you can do rapidly, in a short period of time, that can really tell you about, yes, Kaleshwara, what is that kind of an assessment which you can do rapidly? Anything that you know about? Anything that you can talk about over here? Do you remember sanitary risk assessment? Cleaning tanks, wash assessment? Exactly, Kaleshwara. Wash assessment is one way to look at it. Sanitary risk assessment is one way that you can do. Sanitary risk assessment, we went to it very briefly. Last session, we talked about water quality monitoring protocol. It gives the sanitary risk assessment for all kinds of situations, from springs and hills to plains. Have a look at it. It's a rapid assessment you can do in few hours. Just take a transit, visit a village, talk with people, and find out. Okay. Here we also talk about some visual kind of a things that you can do. If you don't have any data, if you're not carrying a kit, but if you want to look at a fluoride affected area, what do you do? What do you do? How do you find out if a place has fluorosis? Anything you remember from session number 3? Anything that you can see in the village? Anybody wants to share? What can you see in the village? Just you can see, and you know the place has fluoride. Water will not show any color if it has fluoride, but is there something else in the village that you can see which will show that the village's water has high fluoride in it? Anybody wants to? Teeth of children, excellent, Susan, right? So often what we do, we go to the school at a certain age of classes, and you can tell a joke, or you can make them laugh, you can make the children laugh, and suddenly when all of the children are laughing and you can see the teeth, then it gives you water quality data. Isn't it interesting? You can make children smile and you can test water without having a kit. That is magic, right? But you can do that, right? Similarly, observing the skin relatively little bit much more difficult, right? Observing a skin is relatively more difficult. It can give you an idea about arsenic or arsenicosis. So these are some rapid assessments you can do for different water quality problems, and this will help you as a preparation before implementation. So these are some sessions that you actually have seen: session number 5, session number 3 that you saw on health, and that is what we'll be referring to time and again in today's session. In different sessions of this course, session number 2, session number 3, session number 4, 5, and so on, you have seen many of these things. So when you are actually planning and implementing water quality management programs, then actually you will see that a lot of different learning from different parts of this course will be useful to you. And that's what we are trying to embed within today's session over here. Working styles of the community. Exactly, Srinivas ji. I think you have a lot of experience in working with fluoride affected area. Wonderful point. Wonderful point. Great observation. Also, how people walk. I mean, wonderful point. Maybe Srinivas ji, later on, we have to give an opportunity to you to talk about what you really mean, by walking style of the people. I mean, after we get back to the main session, maybe we'll have time today. Let us talk about it. Wonderful point. Board legs and knock knees. Wonderful points. You can even see all these things. The more you develop your insight about water quality problems, the more you'll know about water quality without testing. One of our earlier water quality champions came back for a guided mentoring and said that one village, there was a lot of acidity medicine being sold called Divol, and Divol tablets being sold. And after the treatment plant, China skeletal fluorosis, exactly. So after the treatment plant for iron was put up, iron treatment plant was put up, then what happened? People started using very less of Diavol, that is some acidity, pain acidity tablet over there. Very interesting, and these are all the insights that we can develop from rapid assessment. Okay, so now we come to the second phase, that is the preparatory phase before implementation. So imagine that you've developed a very nice picture of your village. You know the culture of the place. You have spoken with all the elderly people, with children. You have made them smile. You have listened to their stories. Why water is important to them? And suddenly you're seeing, I mean, what is BIS standard? BIS standard has nothing to do with what people are talking about. I mean, somewhere you have to marry and mix both of these things together. Science and culture have to come together for an effective water quality management program. How can you do that, right? So the preparatory phase will help you do that. Anybody knows what this is? Anybody knows what is VAP? Anybody here has done participatory planning in villages, Gram Panchayat level planning, village action planning, right? Participatory planning. We spoke about it in session number 7, right? And can you estimate how much time is generally given within projects? Exactly, Rakhi Giri, Kaleshwara Rao, all of you. How much time within projects? Let us take Jal Jeevan Mission or any program that you are part of in Africa, in Zambia, in East Africa, in Somaliland, and all of the other countries that you're all part of, in Andhra Pradesh and many parts of India. I mean, how much time within projects is given for participatory planning. We talk a lot about it. We want to give a lot of time to it. But what is the kind of a time that is given? Do we have 6 months for it? Do we have 2 years for it? Or do we have just a month or few weeks for it? And hard reality, sometimes just few days for it, isn't it? We don't want to talk about it, but isn't it true that sometimes we just have few days to make a plan? And sometimes I've seen people taking a vehicle and traveling to 5 villages in one day, making 5 different plans, right? Sometimes it is so rapid, and it is rapid planning. The participatory thing totally goes away, right? So sometimes the reality is that sometimes there are only few weeks, for planning along with people, and especially when it doesn't happen in a copy paste form. I mean, the genuine planning which is happening in a participatory way takes time. It takes time to listen to people. And water quality in many cases is getting missed during this planning process. Do you feel that it is sometimes getting missed, especially in activities such as village action planning? It is just something to be filled over there, just something, some data to be filled. And, really it's not coming about as a core part of the planning process. I mean, the core thing is about where is the water going to come from? Where is the pipe going to be built? Where is it going to be placed and all that? Water quality is just a side issue or an issue to be thought about later, right? Is this happening where you are seeing, or you're more hopeful that water quality is be given the right attention in the programs that you're seeing? What do you feel? Type yes if you feel that water quality is being given the right attention. Type no if you feel that no, it is not being given attention in participatory planning process. Yes or no? Okay, you feel that it is being given attention. I'm very happy to see the responses from you that you feel that yes, it is being given attention in the places that you have been working. Wonderful to see that, and wonderful to see that this change is happening, and you are part of such a program where it is being given certain attention. Where participatory planning is actually looking at water quality in such a good way. Wonderful, wonderful. The other important point is that during this process of preparation, we often totally forget about behaviors of people. Many often, we are thinking about the pipeline has to be reached here, the water source has to be put to the village. We are thinking about where the water has to be given. Some more powerful person is saying it has to be close to my house, and this and that, and so on, right? These become the priority. But what about, the plant that we are really going to put up, over there? We are assuming that people are really knowledgeable, and once we do our awareness and IEC, people are really going to come forward to accept it. And the languages that we are often talking are about the more technical languages, the scientific languages that we are also discussing here. Sometime back, some years back, a lady came to me in Hindi and said, "This is langda pani." Langda pani means this water is crippled, right? And someone else told me this pani is halka. Halka means light. This pani is light. This water is light, right? It was very surprising to me. But these are the, have you seen people tell you these kind of words in villages? That is adjectives which is used to words which you have never thought about. We have never read it in books. We never discuss it here. Definitely, it will not be in the BIS or other standards, but people talk about it. People feel it, and they feel that is important. Has anybody of you felt that when you travel and meet people, they say that water here feels very heavy, water here feels very itchy, and so on and so forth? Have you ever seen that? And those kind of things you will get only in this initial preparatory phase, right? You will not get it later. We might feel that we are from this place, we know the language and all that, but then just knowing the language is not enough. Sometimes the distance between us and the people who are living their life within that village is a lot, more than the language. Okay, so this initial phase, preparing your hypothesis for triggers, for cues, for nudges, is really important. How are you going to trigger people on arsenic? How are you going to trigger people for bacterial contamination? Very difficult. People have lived with iron problem, with fluoride problem, bacterial contamination for all their lives. How are you going to trigger people? How are you going to make them alive on these problems? It's not very easy. Okay, so that is something that you need to work upon and try to see how can you get people to work on that. We spoke about technologies and solutions, right? So in the last session, in few sessions, we spoke about how do you select technologies, how do you select solutions, and we often saw that sometimes the simplest technologies and simplest solutions are totally ignored. And when everything fails, people go back to it, isn't it? When everything fails, people go back to the simplest of solutions, like some root they have, some candle they have, some kind of sari they have, everything that people have, right? When everything fails, people go back to that. Why don't we think about it in the initial phase of selecting technologies? We often go for that most shining new technology and solutions. I'm all for it. I'm all for sensors and new technologies. But then asking the right questions, right? During this initial phase, we spoke about it in session number 4. And in session number 6, we spoke about preparing people with capacity building. What did we talk about in session number 6? How can we demystify water quality to people? How can we make it simple for people? What is the method that we used in session number 6 to make it easier, that if you want this entire course to be transferred to people in 2 hours, what is a simple way that you can do? Can anybody type here in session number 6? What is it that we learned about? A new system for learning about safe water, right? Which you can actually take to villages in Telugu, in Kannada, in Hindi, in Odia, in all the different languages that you know, and educate people so that they are ready for the implementation phase that will come, next to this. Anybody remembers? Exactly, Sakshi. Cards, right? Safe water learning cards, in many other ways, flash cards and so many things. You can make it yourself, right? You can make it yourself in your own way. This is just a beginning that we are showing you, but you can make it yourself in your own way. Yes, Nagitan. Educating people about RO plants and everything, you need simple ways of doing all of this, right? And not just RO plants or treatment plants, but also sometimes it's about basic things like rainwater harvesting or identifying safe water sources, and understanding the aquifer, understanding the watershed. These are all in the preparatory phase. Okay. And you can do your water security planning, which is to save water safety planning. We learned about it in session number 5. All of these things can come together in the preparatory phase. We have covered a little bit of it, and we also covered that the water source is a very important source of pollution. And which finger is that in 5 fingers? Can anybody say within the 5 fingers for water safety, that is 5 fingers to protect water, which finger that we said for protection of the water source? Is it finger number 1, finger number 2, or finger number 3? Question to you, a simple question to all of you. Is it the which finger within 5 fingers is referring to the water source? Exactly. Ruth Nyangu from Zambia, thank you so much for your response. Finger number 1, right? Finger number 1 represents the water source. So these are the ways, these are the simple ways you can prepare people and build behavioral hypothesis, initial communication behavior. That is going to be important for you in the last phase. We are going to come to that. Okay. So the next important thing is who needs to get trained, and how are they going to get trained? You know about it now. Training is something that excellent, wonderful point. I got so many responses here just seeing that. Okay, wonderful point, everybody. Finger number 1. Okay. So next thing for you, who needs to get trained and how are you going to get them trained? You also know that now very well, right? You have so many tools for the last person, simplest thing, 5 fingers and basic kind of a communication. But before that, you can use safe water learning cards, but you can make things of your own. We are not saying that this is the only way to do things, but there can be so many ways, to bring people together for collective action, for energizing them. So many different ways that you can make it simple. Safe water learning cards is something that we are making it simpler and putting it forward to people, but I'm sure that you all have your own ways of making things simpler for frontline workers. So for Jal Jeevan Mission, at least in 6 lakh villages of India, there are 5 women in each village. So 3 million people, 3 million women in India who are going to be working on water testing. Imagine the power of this, right? Imagine the power of 3 million people who are going to be working on water testing, communicating to people about the power of safe water and how it can save the next generation of children, make them healthy. Now, something like safe water learning cards, if it reaches these 3 million women and across India, and something like safe water, anything, it could be any such thing, right? Imagine the investment that you're doing for the next couple of generations, right? Imagine what will the next generation be. They are not going to have this problem at all. We are not going to need water quality management course after 10 or 15 years because this investment has been made today. Can we do it? Can we reach collectively to 3 million women in India, 5 women in each village? For this training during preparatory stage can help us do that. Think about it, how much you can reach, how you can reach to more people, even 50 people or 100 people yourself. Yes, Shamgar, right? We can all do it together collectively. That's what we need to be thinking about. Okay. So the first thing when I asked you, the first response that I got from all of you, I've asked you many questions, right? I've asked you so many questions. The first question that I asked you what are the different phases or stages of water quality programs? I got one response from you, which is water testing, right? All of you responded with water testing, water monitoring, and we'll come to that. Obviously, water quality monitoring and surveillance. So many of you are experts in it. 5 women per village, VWS, exactly, Usha Sankat. The water quality management information system. Wonderful digital platform which Sampath spoke with you about. New digital platforms, the digital twin models. So much coming up. No? Tomorrow we'll have a metaverse on water. No? Very soon, we'll have meta water coming up. We'll all be sitting in a village of our choice, working on, you might be in your house, but you'll feel that you're in the village, working with people on water safety and water quality. Things are going to change. Things are going to change really fast. The next few years, we'll see dramatic changes because of technology happening. And water testing is something, exactly, right? Water testing is something, and digital platforms is something that is going to revolutionize water quality management. But we need women, we need community and people as part of it, right? And you are the people who are going to do that. You're already doing that, and energizing these women in villages around behaviors around water quality management, monitoring and surveillance. How can they report? How can we take action to each and every point? Do you know how many data points have been generated this year? If you go to the Jal Jeevan Mission dashboard, how many data points have been generated this year from villages in India? Can anybody take a guess? How many data points, how many water testing kit sample points have been generated from across India? um, Nobody should cheat. You should not go to Jal Jeevan Mission dashboard right now. You should tell it from memory. Is it 500,000, 1 million, or 2 million data points? Anybody wants to take a guess at how many data points have been generated across India this financial year? 500,000, 1 million, 2 million, exactly, Usha. 2.2 million. Can you imagine? 2.2 million data points from women in villages. It's massive. Extraordinary, things happening in India. And I'm sure that it is also happening in other countries. So this is the power of people, what people can do. And we have not even reached close to 30% of villages. Imagine the data which is going to come up, empower people with water quality monitoring and surveillance. Now, when you do that, then you have to go back to the plan. Are we doing that? Are we going back to the plan, checking it again, checking what we are doing? That needs to be done, because when data keeps getting generated, what we are doing becomes interesting, because surprises often happen. Okay. So that needs to go back. It needs to be an iterative process. Actually, it should be a loop, but we are not doing that. We are just going one way. But ideally, it should go in a cyclic manner, validating and checking the data with water quality monitoring and surveillance. And 5 fingers, all of you are experts in it. Testing and communication and behavior change have to go together. Water quality monitoring, testing, communication, behavior change. If these things go together, then you can sustain behaviors and take it to the long run. So all of you working on water quality monitoring and surveillance, you are water quality champions who are extremely important for the next generation of people, right? For the next 2 generations of people, this is going to be extremely important. Water is health, and it is going to be a foundation for the for next generation of children, who are going to be having a healthy life because of all of you. So, water testing, communication, behaviors. Think about it and keep working on it. Okay. Now there comes the implementation stage. Often the whole entire focus is on pipes, pumps, and this whole implementation stage. And often, unfortunately, it just becomes about P and P, pipes and pumps. But what about the third P, which is people? Okay. So I often say pipes, pumps, plants, PPP, but also fourth P, which is people, which we often forget. Okay. So this implementation stage, as I put over here, the figure, it is all about pipes. Okay. This is, anybody wants to take a guess? Which pipe is it? Is it Mission Magirata, right? Which is, many of you are in from Telangana and Andhra. And often it also becomes, about PPP, pipes, pumps, and plants. But the fourth important thing of people, and especially how are people accepting it, adopting it, diffusing it, that becomes extremely important. Whether it is pipes, pumps, or water harvesting, recharge program, acceptance for all of these take a long time. And implementation stage we have put here for 1 year, but often it can be a very long time for implementation. And much more important than implementation is the capacities which are built during implementation. We spoke about it time and again. We come to that, training. And as many of you have mentioned, you're taking part in, yes, Mission Bhagirath, exactly. And many of you are taking part in different trainings, and we feel that it is not just one-time training, but the kind of guided mentoring or kind of support which is given to people, not just a national level, but also at a village level. How can we solve that problem? And first step, how can we listen to people's problems? If we are able to listen to people's problems in a continuous manner, weekly, monthly, then gradually problems will get more visibility. more and more people will start talking about it, and the problems maybe would get solved. If we suppress the problems, if we never listen to the problems, then anyway they're not going to get solved. They're only going to get bigger. If I shut my eyes and say that there is no problem, there is no water quality problem, there is no fluoride problem, there is no whatever problem, the problem is not going to disappear. The problem is only going to grow, right? So let us help people with different processes such as guided mentoring that we are putting forward here, but there can be many ways to help people continuously, week on week, month on month, so that water quality problems become more visible. And training that we are doing implementation, it is not one time, but it is a continuous thing along with problem solving. So behaviors during implementation, I spoke about it, and often we are ignoring behaviors, isn't it? Session number 5, it has to wake you up. It has to be a trigger for all of you. Session number 5, triggers, cues, and nudges. No, we are often ignoring behaviors. Let us wake up. Just a wall painting, just IC is not enough. Responsive messaging, two-way messaging. Speaking wall is one way, but there can be so many different ways of two-way, multiple-way messaging. And key stakeholders within the BWSC, you have to come together and customize it. Customize 5 fingers, customize safe water learning cards in your own way. Take it where you want in the same way, but then customize for what you're doing. We always tell people that make it your own. Use it in your own way, then it will be useful in your behavior change program. For that you have to invest your time in understanding the people over there in your area during the implementation. So question for you, the last phase and most ignored phase of the water quality management program, we often do not talk about it. And after 10 years, after 15 years, we go back to the village. Many of you from Andhra, Telangana, the Sai Prashanti filters. It is, we go there and we find that it is there in people's houses. So many old RO plants in Karnataka from 8, 9 years back. Now we go and see, they are just lying idle. Why? What is the problem, right? What are we ignoring? What is this phase of water quality management programs that we are really, really, really ignoring? We have to talk about it. It is uncomfortable to me, uncomfortable to you, but let us talk about it. Anybody wants to take a guess? Which is this last and very important phase of water quality management programs, which we are often ignoring? Okay. What is that phase? Okay. Anybody wants to take a guess at it? The sustainability phase, O&M phase. Okay. So basically, it is the last phase of this program, O&M phase, which is crucial, critical, sustainability, exactly, right? And we are not talking about it. We are getting women to be excited about it, testing water and all that. But ultimately, who is supporting them in the long run? Who is coming to the village after the program? We all achieved our Swachh Bharat mission target. We'll all achieve our Jal Jeevan mission target. Ultimately, all of us, I'm worried about my job, right? My salary, my work. Fine, that is human. It is natural for us to think. But what about the systems we are creating within villages, the assets we are creating, the long term? What is the money being spent, the processes, the training that we are doing, the support to behaviors that you're doing? What is happening to that, right? So important thing is establish a medium of communication. The reality will come out by itself. WQMNS is the first step towards it. Let us support the national program, Jal Jeevan Mission program, WQMS platform, wonderful platform, great big step based on COVID model. Let us all come together to support it. We can be critical about it, but we need to support it because that is our only hope, for sustaining WQMS. Okay. The last part, we'll come to the outcomes part of water quality management programs. Okay. So basically, when we look at all these programs, right? Exactly, Sultan, right? Sustaining programs is so important. And when we actually come to programs, what you mean by water quality is very different from what I mean by water quality. In India right now, it's about reaching water to people. The outcome is about water to the house. But as we saw in water safety planning, it's about health. For some people, it's about recharge. How much volume is recharge? It can be a water program, water program on increasing water, water program on quality of water at the source at the mouth, water program on improving livelihood of people. Do you know about any water program about improving livelihood of people? Making sure that basic livelihood through irrigation and others, nutrition gardens and others is enhanced. So water programs, a water quality program can have so many different outcomes. So many different outcomes. How are we going to measure it? How do we know that you have succeeded? Right? You measure health, look at livelihood, look at the volume of water. So many different things. Okay. So very broadly, I'm not going to go deep into it because if you look at it, you're going to, maybe go away from the session. It's called theory of change, a big word, but let us get exposed. If you're seeing this for the first time, look at it and try to type and learn more about it. there are many theories of change, for all the programs that we do. For example, think about it. Maybe I say that you just go and train people, and people will know about water quality. Okay, we build community capacity for recharge, water harvesting, and then people will be good on all of this water quality. That is one theory of change. Okay, just tell people about health impacts. Just tell them about health impacts. Everything will happen. They will know about water quality. Does anybody of you feel that this is your thing in your mind? Maybe there's an assumption in your mind. Think about yourself. Often we don't know what is the assumption in our mind. Okay, Usha, Abdullah, all of you think about it. I mean, often the most difficult thing is to be aware of what are our own assumptions. What are we thinking, right? Maybe these are our assumptions in our mind. Put it down. Women are the backbone in water. You empower women and everything will be fine. You think in this way that women are the backbone of water, empower people, and everything will be fine. Water problem it gets solved, isn't it? That is one theory of change. Okay, just build the pipeline and everything else will happen. Have you seen that happening anywhere? Just build the pipeline and everything else will happen. Anybody has seen that kind of a program happening? Okay, that is a theory of change. There are so many, and then in the future you are going to listen to this a lot. Data will solve all your problems. Just put sensors and it will solve. I'm not saying that any of these things is right or any of these things is wrong. What I'm saying is that many a times hidden deep in our minds is this theory of change. Let us be aware of the theory of change. What is it that we are thinking? Okay, what is it that someone else is thinking? What is it that a program is thinking? Right? I'm sure that none of you agrees with just one of this. Okay, or maybe you do, or maybe you do. You're passionate so much about women's empowerment that you feel that that is the core to change on water. Okay, but be aware of what is your theory of change. This course is basically giving you the tools for all these 5 phases to decide what is your outcome, what is the change that you want. Maybe that your outcome is climate change, and you're working on water quality and livelihood as just one means of achieving change on climate change. Maybe what is deep in your mind is climate change, and whatever is happening today, in all different parts of the world, we might not be happy with it, right? But we know that the larger thing of climate change is looming on us, and unfortunately we are spending our times on such silly other different other problems which none of us is really happy about. So deep in your mind, maybe you're thinking about climate change, maybe you're thinking about larger changes that you need to bring, and probably water quality management or water is just one step for you. In this course, we are just trying to give you some tools that you have to use, that you can use, and you can take it ahead. Okay, and we want to make you believe, really make you believe that water quality management is possible. All these are challenges, behaviors, and all of that, but it is possible to address it. It is possible to design, implement, and we can have change. Okay, and it is possible to sustain all the problems that we talk about here in this course, because not because to make ourselves disheartened, not to discourage ourselves, but to actually be inspired and motivated that we can be part of this change and we have to do it. We cannot shy away from it. Looking at the problem, facing the fears that are there for us today is the first step towards finding and listening about solutions to what it will bring to us in the future. So just summarizing this session, uh, we spoke about the 5 phases of water quality management programs, and O&M, sustainability is the most important phase. And I'll really urge you about what is your theory of change. What are you passionate about? What do you want to achieve for the world, for your country and community? Think about it, and just see how water quality management is your one step towards it, right? So be aware of it, and and the more you do that, the more you will be working towards better change for yourself, for your community, for your country, and wherever you have been working. Okay, so we'll just share the last assessment uh, within the course, which will give you the start code and end code. Just give me uh, a moment for that. Okay, thank you so much, Rashika. Thank you so much, you've already shared it. Thank you so much. So Rashika, is it the right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, Rashika, for sharing the assessment link over here. Um, and I'll just quickly stop screen sharing and just share with you the assessment. Where is it? So I hope all of you have received the assessment and you've already started working on it. I'll just do a screen share. Yes, I got it here. I'll just do a screen share of the assessment here at 7 subsection 1. Okay, there it is. You're just beginning out on your assessment. Okay, 3 of you already gone over. Okay, wonderful to see that. And as often, we always ask you which is your favorite question, within this assessment, and please feel free to do that. And also anything that you didn't understand well within these questions, anything more clarity is needed in the question, just let us know. We'll always like to have your feedback on all of this. Thank you so much. Okay, I think rapidly most of you are filling up the assessment, and I can see uh, 20 or 30 responses already. Okay, we'll wait till there are 80 people here. Wonderful, Rajshekar. So nice to know. So nice to know. So nice to know. I mean, all of us, the age that we are, when we get these assessments, we feel so excited about it, right? When we see our children and kids doing exams, when we get these assessments, there is also this enthusiasm, right? It takes us back to school, and I like that enthusiasm in all of you. That you are liking to be assessed, no? And liking wonderful Sultan Omar Abdullahi, wonderful, wonderful. Ksha. So nice, na? We feel good about doing these assessments, also getting scores, you know part of the fun about being here. Thank you so much, all of you. 45 responses. Let us go till at least 60 or 60, 70 at least, and then we can go to the next part of it. Okay. Bala Guruvaya, if there is a reason which you raised hands for, if you really want to ask me, you can unmute and ask me, or you can even type in the chat box. Or if it was a mistake, it's okay. Totally fine. Chinna Lakshmi, Rejeti, wonderful. Sudharani, so nice to see. Sudhir Dholakia, done, wonderful. So we need 60 responses. We'll wait and go till 70. And also there is this parallel other room which is happening, Hindi. We'll also see where they are, and then take a call about going back. So with this, basically, we come to a kind of a there is there as you know there are other parts of this course and sessions which are there. I'm sure you're looking forward to it. Basically, next today's session we'll talking about how can you recover up your sessions, how can you be part of trainer sessions in the future, and so on and so forth. I mean, a lot of these other things which you're eager to know. I mean, post the course, so we'll be talking about it. Apart from that, we also want to listen from you if there is time, or even next time we'll have time to listen to you, because obviously with 100 people and more, it becomes very difficult to interact with each other. So let us try. Let us try, and I believe that it's not just this course in this session. If we have multiple platforms, always we'll get a chance to interact with each other. And I mean, that's the only way. In one session it's not possible, but in multiple ways. And when we are crisscrossing across the country, my colleague here, Navneet, who is doing the other session in Hindi, he recently visited his hometown in Balia, UP, and met some of the water quality champions there. And same thing, I mean, many of us, when we are traveling across the country, we might get a chance to meet each other. So maybe in the next few weeks I might be in Vijayawada, and maybe get a chance to meet some of you there who are close by, in Andhra. Okay, I think reaching close to 80 responses. And so what we'll do is, if you're confident to just leave from the breakout room, You may do that, or you wait for the breakout room to get over. Basically, after this, we go back into the main room. So what you can do is just, you can say, click on leave, be very careful, leave breakout room. Don't leave the session. We really want you back in the session, continuing. I plead with you to stay in the session because there are very important things after this. Okay, so just be with us, till close to 5. So leave and leave breakout session. I mean, leave and don't leave the entire session. If you happen to leave entire session, come back using the same link. You are welcome back, to do that. But just do leave and leave breakout sessions once you're done, and we'll meet in the main room. Okay, all of us. We'll meet back in the main room and see you there. So thank you all of you. See you back in the main room. And very soon this room is going to be closed. And we'll see you all in the main room where Sharmila will be guiding you.